Hey guys, Tim Landers here. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do something a little different today, and that is I'm going to do a bass review, video bass review. I'm going to review this bass here by a company called Eart or E-A-R-T. I'll tell you a little story about how I came upon them. This is a bass guitar that's made in China, and it's one of those that you can order through their website and have it delivered directly to you. And how I found out about these was I kind of got hooked on the guitar review videos on YouTube. These guys who are quite good reviewing the Firefly guitars and the Groats and Harley Bentons and the like. These are all pretty adequate Chinese instruments that come at a reasonable price. And there's all kinds of accolades about some of these instruments. The Gibson 335 copies, Stratocaster, of course, copies, Telecaster copies, and such. And then suddenly I started noticing videos about another maker, this one, Eart, and those reviews were very enthusiastic and glowing because those guitars seem to be a cut above the others. Even though they love the others, this seemed to be that much better at a more professional level. And the price reflected it. I mean, it's a little bit more, you pay a little bit more. So, for instance, instead of paying, $129 for a Telecaster by Firefly, you pay $189, something like that, So this looks like about a 30% difference. So they go on and on. But one of the things that they often commented on with the Eart guitars is their workmanship, fit and finish, especially the fretwork. They love the fretwork. They go on and on about how beautiful the fretwork is, how the necks play great, how the playability of the instrument is great. One guy goes on and on about he just can't put the guitar down. It's such a great instrument to play, and so forth and so on. So I thought to myself, well, if they have a bass available, maybe the bass is the same quality as the guitars. I mean, that would be great. And if so, then, and the price was right, then this might be a nice little find. Also, there aren't a whole lot of bass review videos out there, very few. I mean, I went looking for, not just for the Eart bass guitars, which I found none, but any kind of bass guitar review, there was just a small handful of them, and a lot of them aren't very thorough, So I thought, well, maybe, if I like this bass, I'll do a video on it. So let me back up again and tell you what happened. So I went to their website, and sure enough, they do have a bass for sale, and it's just this one model. It's this 5-string. It looks like a Fender 5-string bass. It's got a kind of a Marcus Miller pickguard design there, and it's got some nice features, which I'll go over. And the price was $379, and if it's even in the quality of like the Squier Vintage Modifieds or the Sires or something like that, this could be a good instrument. Upon looking at the description, everything seemed like it might be nice. A Canadian rock maple neck, they said, alder body, the jazz bass pickups, 2-band EQ, etc. I mean, in a parts bass like this, a lot of the components, as long as they're adequate, aren't as important as the woods they pick and, the pickup configuration, and in this case, the electronics. So I said, okay. I looked at it. It came in 3 colors, an Olympic white, a tobacco sunburst, and this here green, which is reminiscent of like a seafoam green or a surf green that Fender used to have. So I love this color, and the price looked right, and so I thought I'll just take a leap of faith and plunk my money down. So it was $379 out the loading dock. And I waited for it to show up, and so I could kind of see what's what. So cut to a little less than 2 weeks later, the bass does show up, and I'm anxious to see it. I bring it in the house now. It did get shipped in just a single carton A lot of the guitars I've seen shipped from China, they don't seem to put a lot of packing materials in there, and I don't know how these instruments make it without getting damaged. But this one did; it was fine. The box wasn't doing so hot, but the bass seemed like it wasn't damaged at all. First thing I did, I took it out of the box. It came with the bass and a little packet of Allen keys to adjust the bridge and the truss rod, and that's it. Plugged it in, nothing, and then I thought, well, it must need a battery, and it did. So I started playing it. Well, the first thing I noticed, I wanted to check out the frets. I wanted to see if their legendary fretwork is as good as they say, and it is. I can tell you that the fretwork on this bass is top-notch. The dressing, especially on the side, it's just very beautifully done. It feels completely professional, like like you would get in a $2,500 Fender or another like boutique bass. It's that good. It does have a maple neck, a nice maple neck. It's a nice straight grain. I can't tell you for sure that it's Canadian rock maple, but I don't doubt that it is. It's lacquered or polyurethane finish, front and back of the neck. It's got the square pearloid white inlays, nicely done. Nice job on the inlays. I don't know what the nut is made of. It's synthetic. It's I think probably synthetic bone, but the nut is cut very nicely. The action was great on this bass when it showed up. It was very low action. I mean, usually when these instruments come from China, I've gotten a few, you have to put some time into setting them up. This was set up, ready to go, right out of the box. The machine heads are just your standard open gear, nothing really special, but they're fine. Something you probably see on the Squires and the Sires, for that matter. I don't know for sure. I don't have a Sire. The finish is really pretty. Nice job on the paint. There's no marring. There's no... it's a nice paint job. The neck pocket is nice and tight. Good job with that, matching the neck pocket and the neck. So I start to play it, and the first thing I noticed as I start to play it, though, is that the spacing... on the right hand, the bridge spacing and the string spacing is narrow, more narrow than I like. And on further inspection, I can see that the bridge is indeed a small, narrow bridge. And now this bridge is different. I replaced it, and I'll get into that in a second. But as I started to play it, as I said, I felt kind of cramped, and I looked at it, and it looked like it was 16 and a half millimeter spacing, which is on the very narrow side. That is something that you would have seen more commonly in the early 90s, mid 90s, and then basses started as the 5-string and 6 strings progressed and evolved. String spacing was part of that evolution, and now it is more common to see 18 to 19 millimeter spacing between the strings. So that was kind of a bummer that the spacing was that narrow. And the other thing that was part of that problem was that the strings didn't line up correctly over the pole pieces on the pickups because of the narrowness of the bridge. And also, there was a lot of real estate on the outside of the strings, but on the outside of the G and the B, there was still a lot of space on the neck. So I concluded, obviously, this bass could really do with a wider bridge. I think the bridge that they put on it, that it comes with, is a mismatch. I decided after playing it a little bit that I'll keep it, and it was good enough that it was worth it for me to invest in a bridge. So I just found a Wilkinson bridge with the right spacing online. It wasn't much money. It was less than $20. I had to make some precise measurements to make sure that the bridge I was ordering was going to fit, of course, and it did. But another thing that happened is I started to play it. I was checking out the pickups, and I noticed that the configuration is master volume, and then there's a pickup pan control, like a pot, and then treble cut and boost, bass cut and boost. When I went to check out the pickups individually, as I turned the pot toward the bridge pickup, counterclockwise all the way, it should be all bridge pickup. It wasn't. It was the neck pickup and vice versa. So when I turned it all the way clockwise to just have the neck pickup on, the bridge pickup was on. So obviously this pot was wired backwards. So that's another thing. So between the bridge and that wiring, I'm like, oh man, a little quality control issue here. And then the other thing I found out, even though the fretwork is really, really well done, there is a bad fret up in the upper range on the E string. When you get to the G, frets out. So that's the 15th fret, so that means the 16th fret is high and needs to be tapped down and filed. The A string is okay. So it's just on the bass side, sorry. Just there. It's a little bit of rattle on the B string. So I haven't addressed that yet because I haven't had time. But, I did put the bridge on, and like I said, I had to measure precisely to get it on, although I have to say I wish I had mounted it just a little further back. Even though I measured it what I thought was correctly, by the time I got it intonated, the saddles are awfully close to the back of the bridge, and which is okay, it's in tune, but the problem is I don't like the steep angle now that the strings have to make to get over the saddles. Somewhere down the line, perhaps when I do the fret job, I'll relocate the bridge a little further back. Let's see. Yeah, playability is great. The weight of it is nice. I'm guessing it's somewhere in the 10-pound range, 11-pound range. It's not too heavy. There's no neck dive to speak of, which is nice. Speaking of neck dive, I like the fact that this bass actually has a Fender-style headstock. A lot of the Chinese kind of knockoff basses and guitars and stuff that are more Fender-like have these weird kind of headstocks, and some of them are quite ugly. This thankfully has a nice Fender-looking headstock. So let's get into what it plays like and what it sounds like. I played a little bit at the beginning of the video, finger style, and I'll just play a little slap style so you can hear how it performs there. I've got everything in the center position, and the bass is going straight into a Mackie mixer. There's no other compressor or EQ or anything in between. It's just going right into the interface that way. So it's got a nice slap sound. When you add a little bit of the low end of the bass frequency is somewhere around, I'm guessing around 350 or something, it really warms up the bass nicely. And if I add a little bit more of the treble, it can get very, very bright. So it does have a nice slap sound, and it's got a very bright kind of thing to it if you want that. Of course, having the maple neck with the finished fingerboard adds some brightness to it as well. So in general, I would say, the pros in this bass are, the fretwork and the finish, the headstock shape, active electronics, nice frequency points, the setup, it comes out of the box ready to play. I like the wood selection, the maple and the alder, The components are pretty good. It looks like kind of Wilkinson style, just nothing fancy, kind of B-flat, jazz pickups. And the bridge, even though this is not the original bridge, it was similar to this, a Wilkinson bridge with brass saddles. The gear machine heads are fine. And the cons are the narrow bridge that had to be replaced, the fretting out, and the backwards wiring on the pickup selector knob. So there's not a lot of marks against it, considering I would definitely put a different bridge on like this one. And the other thing too, just aesthetically, I'm not a fan of this pick guard. I know some Marcus Miller fans out there, and I love Marcus Miller, but I don't like his pick guard. And to me, it's just clunky. And this bass, especially with this really great color, I would love to see more of it. So I may, if there's not too many holes down there, I may cut this pickguard back. So that's it for this bass, $379. For bass players out there, I thought I'd do a little review for you. You can hear a little bit of it. You can have a more informed decision if you decide to purchase one or check one out. And that's that. Thanks for watching. I think I'm supposed to say, hit the like button. So hit the like button. Thanks. I'm Tim Landers, and I'm checking out.